Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, where I am thrilled to have from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, gentlemen.
Hey,
welcome.
Joe.
Good morning.
Both of you to the show, as always.
Good morning.
Good to have you here.
Good morning.
Yeah. So, it's spring, I guess.
It's spring.
You wouldn't today. You wouldn't know.
No.
But I suppose it is. So should we talk about the fact that things are a little different in spring around here as far as home sales are concerned?
Yeah, one kind of interesting thing, people always say, where are the best buys?
Yeah.
And at this time of year, with just a couple of weeks left in the ski season, we get some real motivated sellers, especially with the condos at the resort.
Yeah, so
Rob's got a few of them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bring in the offers. No, really, at this point of the year, sometimes you see a lot of price reductions, but also, sometimes sellers are just ready at this time of year. When they get an offer, they're going to mull it over a little bit more, and they might be more motivated to sell with that condo market buyer going away for a little while. So, yeah, it's a good time of year to make an offer and see how it goes.
All right.
There's a lot more of a captive audience out there when you have skiers in town that are potential buyers, and when they go away, then those condos many of them will sit until next winter before they get a lot they that's just kind of a generalization.
Sure.
But some of them, especially way up on the mountain there where you're skiing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we're not just talking about the less expensive condos, but even the more expensive condos. Sellers get more motivated because they realize that they won't have their funds out of it and for another 6 months to a year.
My guess is this year ought to be a little different too, in that if you were thinking, okay, I'm going to sell it this year sometime, right? Or I may even sell it next season. Let's just say that was even a potential. You're going to probably want to sell it this season because you've got the fact that the interest rate hasn't gone up, and by spring it will have probably, or fall rather, it will have. That probably is a motivator, isn't it?
I don't know that the sellers are thinking of that necessarily.
I sure would. The buyer ought to, for sure.
Yeah, the buyer would be, but the sellers are thinking about the HOAs and the taxes and the carrying costs that they're going to be paying for the next 6 months if they're ski out. And some of those owners aren't here in the summer, so they've got 6 months here that they're going to be paying for the unit that they may not be using it much.
I'm just thinking the audience. Isn't the audience sometimes a little bit bigger when you're the seller right now and you're thinking, okay, right now there's a lot of people who might, I've got a bigger audience. They might be more willing to buy because the interest rate's low and they know it's going to go up. I'm just thinking it's probably one of those rare times when it's advantageous to everybody to sell probably right now.
In that respect, and the sellers, as Rob's suggesting, the carrying costs way
outweigh that.
Well, and if they rent out that property, the rentals are going to drop off after the ski season.
Yeah.
So the carrying costs are just emphasized that much more. The flip side of that is the sellers may say, oh, well, I still see the prices escalating, going up slowly but surely. Maybe it'll be worth more next year, but maybe they have other needs for those funds too.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Yeah.
That's why it's really seller dependent this time of year.
Yeah.
Well, that's like I said, I can see why somebody getting ready to leave town thinking I got to get this done before I leave.
Yep.
And you say, where's the best buy? And it's not necessarily where as much as what seller is motivated to move on to the next chapter.
Well, that's another part too, though. I suppose as you're, leaving one thing, you're thinking about another. So these people have clearly got in mind selling to buy something else, right? That's typically going to be outside of here, though, I guess. One would suspect, yeah. Do you see, now I guess the other thing that I've always wondered about, because you see this in real estate a lot, people making the jump from one level to the next. When does that typically take place? Is that also sell it in the spring, buy again in the fall, or is that sell in the spring and buy in the spring?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, that can happen really any time of year, whenever they're feeling the right jump up or down. And we see a lot of that in Deer Valley, where somebody who's got a 2-bedroom is looking for a 3 or 4, and vice versa. Maybe the kids aren't using the condo as much, so they might look for something smaller. But that can really happen any time of year.
Yeah, we see scale downs too, where maybe they've had the house here for a while, and now they're going to focus more of their time in Arizona. Or wherever, and so they want to scale down to a smaller unit. But the step up, that can occur any time of year, and that's more of a family decision as to when is the best time to make that move.
What's inventory look like right now? What have you seen? this
Fairly
year?
limited right now.
Yeah.
Still pretty limited, depending on the market segment. There's a lot of areas that I've been showing property and the right product's not even available. They're still building a lot of the product to come online. So a lot of the stuff at the canyons and whatnot, there's a lot of building happening. So that's the other part of the market right now. A lot of builders are getting ready for next season.
Especially as we go further out, we're seeing a lot of building over on the east side, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, we are. And that's another thing going on in the spring is more projects are coming out of the ground, or projects that have begun are continuing. And most of that is right now out of the city limits or in the Heber Valley and Midway and so
Sure.
forth. So there's a lot more going on in that neck of the woods.
Do you suppose we're going to see anything different happen with, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in a different way. We talked about the idea of bigger buildings coming in when we talked about this last time, but with this combination of Park City Mountain Resort and Canyons combining and adding the gondola and things, do you suppose that we're going to see some changes in the building inside? Different permitting, different changes there, or do you think we're going to stick to what
You
what's your
mean
thought?
you mean
You
with
guys?
the
I'm sure.
resorts?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know either.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of thought to that, a lot of question to
You know?
this.
And Vail doesn't own, like at the base of the Park City
They don't own a lot
Mountains,
of property.
Those are independently owned
Right.
properties there. There is developable property yet at Canyons.
Yeah.
That we'll see what happens with that.
Well, I keep expecting that any moment I'm going to see stuff, like right around the skating rink. I'm thinking, well, that's going to all come down, and we're going to see something big go in. Nothing that we've heard in this case
Nothing
yet.
It'll come down the pipeline.
And we're kind of
It's going to
waiting.
be interesting.
We're as curious as you are to see what changes will take place in general in the common areas and the arrival experience and things
Right.
like that.
It's a time to start listening to what happens with the city and the county, and kind of keeping your ear to the ground. I think
Right.
for changes in zoning that might affect whether there's some new condos coming online, things like that. I suppose kind of having your ear to the ground is a good plan if you're thinking about
Yeah.
a couple years down the road.
And that's true, and I think Vail is pretty preoccupied with the investment this summer, so I don't think we'll even have a hint for probably
while.
another year. But then like next ski season, maybe we'll see a few little tweaks here and there.
But this is going, at the end of the day, property values everywhere probably are going to go up, one
Likely.
would suspect, even at further distances, right? So being where we're maybe out of town seemed like really out of town isn't so much out of town anymore.
Everything's close in Park City,
That's right.
Yeah.
Kimball Junction is not that far away.
But
so-
to your point, everything that's priced virtually under $1 million is there's such a lack of inventory that it's affecting Heber and Midway and Peoa and Oakley and so forth,
Wow.
because there are people that are there's no $500,000 homes here.
Right.
So people will gravitate to the
Which
Heber
raises
Valley.
those values.
Exactly, and more and increases demand in that valley tremendously.
Wow. Well, this is, again, because
Yeah.
it is so complex around here
Yeah.
and things are so tumultuous.
Stay tuned,
A
right?
good reason to stay tuned to folks in the industry. Having a realtor on your side, an important part of that. So Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, where do we find you guys?
You can find us online at www.leehartley.com, or you can give us a buzz, 435-647-8010.
All right. And like I said, I always say, if you can't put your ear on the rail, that's
Yeah.
what you get. You got it for, which you're always doing for me. We're still looking, aren't we?
That's
We're
right.
gonna find mine eventually. It's just like the dog. I got the dog I wanted too on this show just by being patient. We're gonna be patient till we find the right place for me to live. All right,
Joe.
guys. Thanks so much.
Cool.
We'll be back with more right here on the Mountain Morning Show.